service of CNC Worldwide.
The Daily is a service of CNC and Jib Jab greetings. I'm Bud Lowell. Your full AccuWeather forecast is always on top on your CNC local page. A century-old temperature record fell in Rochester on Tuesday when the thermometer at the Greater Rochester International Airport hit 97 degrees at 12:31 p.m., and that broke the record of 95 set in 1900. The National Weather Service says it was the hottest day of the year so far and the second straight day of temperatures in the 90s. Rochester hasn't seen 97 degrees since August 14, 2002, nearly a decade ago, and the last time we hit 100 degrees, by the way, was 1953. This heat won't be back for the rest of the week. The forecast is for the mid-80s Wednesday, then back to the upper 70s until the weekend. A narrow band of thunderstorms moved right along the Lake Ontario shoreline Tuesday night, bringing fireworks in the form of a spectacular lightning display. Here's what it looked like on the radar, but most of the rain stayed out over the lake. Some people lost power all the same, no more than about 1,500 in Monroe County, and that was down to around 200 by Wednesday morning. New York State's Attorney General has served notice that bankruptcy doesn't exempt Eastman Kodak from cleaning up after itself. Attorney General Eric Schneiderman has filed papers on behalf of the Department of Environmental Conservation with the U.S. Bankruptcy Court, handling Kodak's case in New York City. In a nutshell, the 8-page document says Kodak is still responsible for following all the environmental regulations covering its manufacturing and other facilities during its bankruptcy and reorganization. That includes maintaining ongoing programs to handle past groundwater pollution from the former Kodak Park manufacturing complex, now known as Eastman Business Park. It also includes operation of Kodak's wastewater treatment plants and power plant according to environmental standards. The DEC issued numerous permits to Kodak over the years, governing everything from the amount of air pollution it's allowed to emit to how much water it gets to draw from Lake Ontario. Those also cover the new industries which have taken space in Eastman Business Park and use the former Kodak facilities, especially its Kings Landing wastewater treatment plant. DEC says those permits must be enforced. Kodak has about 250 regulated air emission points in 55 buildings at the Eastman Business Park alone. The agency also says the reorganized Kodak still has to maintain monitoring and cleanup operations on past environmental hotspots. Those include the Wyland Road landfill, a 25-acre inactive hazardous waste site in the town of Greece. Monroe County's Industrial Development Agency, known as COMEDA, has approved a tax abatement deal for a new hotel project in downtown Rochester, and at the same meeting, COMEDA gave conditional approval for a tax break to Wilmerite for redevelopment of the Grease Ridge Center Mall. Wilmerite has plans to demolish the former Bon-Ton store site and create a new mixed-use area of restaurants and higher-end specialty retail. It wants $3.6 million in property tax reductions to help make the project more affordable, but that ran afoul of the Grease Central School District, which objected. The Grease Board of Education, which believes the deal will hurt the district's tax revenues, has threatened to sue if it can't work out a settlement, and that effort is underway behind the scenes. The hotel property and sales tax reduction is meant to help 155 East Main LLC develop 3 vacant buildings at East Main and Stone Streets into a new Hilton Garden Inn. The 106-room hotel will be operated under the Hilton brand by host resident partners. It's a $16 million project. The developers say it's expected to create the equivalent of 55 full-time jobs. The Monroe County Sheriff's Department arrested a 49-year-old man Tuesday after he inappropriately touched young girls at the Penfield Public Library. Anthony Perry was arraigned in town court Tuesday night on 2 counts of first-degree sexual abuse and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. He entered a not guilty plea. Papers filed with the court say Perry approached 2 children at the Penfield Library, allegedly took off their shoes, fondled their feet, and pressed their feet against his nose and mouth. A library staffer saw Perry kneeling in the children's area, thought that was unusual, and notified Library Director Bernadette Brinkman. She called 911. Brinkman says her staff has been keeping a closer eye on children since reports of a man touching children's feet at the Brighton Library and the Pittsford Bookstore. The sheriff's office says Perry is not the man seen on security cameras and questioned by deputies following those previous incidents. Perry fled the library after he realized he was spotted, but was picked up by deputies a short time later. When brought to court, he shouted at TV news crews that he had been set up. On being taken from the court, he again shouted that he had been set up by President Barack Obama, the city, and the federal government. Perry will be back in Penfield Town Court on Monday for a preliminary hearing. On this page, you can find links to these and other stories. At the bottom, links for you to use, that gray bar at the bottom of the page, and you can post your own news stories, sports, and salutes directly to us. If it's of interest to you, we want to know about it. Next news as it happens, updates when necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.